So 50% of marriages fail, but of the 50% that succeed, how many do you think are actually happy?
Men who don't want to listen to angry women aren't actually interested in listening to women at all.
The thing about going 50-50 with a man is he also is going to take at least 50% of your time and your energy.
Make enough money and there's financial stress, divorce. They're working too much, divorce.
Basically, no matter what the man does, the risk of divorce will still be pending.
Do you potentially want to adopt me? And I mean this genuinely. Okay, we're in a cost of living crisis. I'm struggling to move out.
I'm tired of being single. I want to be a wife.
70% are women that are initiating divorces in this country.
So I've come to the conclusion that women are hotter than men.
Marriage seems to be the last thing in most men's minds today. It's a deadly trap. Kindly subscribe to the channel as it further supports us in our work. Thank you.
Cishet marriages are on the decline.
I'm not even gonna lie, I really am a lover girl, and my end goal for relationships is to be married one day.
I still stand by the fact that my husband is the ugliest man that I have ever met 5 years into our marriage.
Be careful about dating divorced men. No woman is divorcing a good man.
Men are not intimidated by how much money you make. Men are not intimidated by how many degrees you carry.
So men are asking women on walking dates now in 2024. Dating in 2024 has become extremely hard.
Marriage today isn't marriage.
I agree. The thing about going 50-50 with a man is he also is going to take at least 50% of your time and your energy. Men benefit so much from having a woman in their lives. They act like they don't because it benefits them to get you to accept less. If men don't need women in their lives, then why do they need secretaries and stuff? You know, like even if they can't have a woman by their side, they need a woman. Think about how far you go if you weren't parenting your boyfriend, your husband, if you weren't trying to do everything for him. Like some women go as far as to book all of his appointments for him. If you are his secretary and his nanny and his maid and his mommy all in one, going 50-50 for you is a loss and a total gain for him. If you're having his children, you're literally putting your life at risk, not even just physically, but mentally as well. I don't see any world where a man would accept that his life is in danger around women and his life is in danger having children. And then he would still say, you know what? I'm also going to split 50-50, even though you're going to benefit from being in a relationship with me more than I'm going to benefit being in a relationship with you. So it's not about the money. It's about everything. It's about your life. If you want to spend your life struggling with a man, then that's your prerogative.
Going 50-50 with a man means he's taking 50% of your energy. That's the logic. That doesn't even make sense. Because when you expect a man to pay the rent, cover all the bills, fund your vacations, and even pay for your hair and nails, he's not your partner. He's your daddy at that point, and the hypocrisy is wild. If a woman doing something simple, like booking a man's appointment or helping with small things, makes her a maid, then by that same logic, a man providing for everything must make him her personal ATM, her servant, or even worse, a financial caretaker she feels entitled to. You can't have it both ways. If basic acts of care are seen as servitude when women do them, then men should start calling out the one-sided expectations placed on them too. Modern equality often turns into expecting traditional benefits without giving anything traditional back.
Marriage in 2023 isn't marriage. It is not marriage today.
What is it?
It's something else. Like we can't call it marriage if you can, like what is marriage? It's supposed to be for better, for worse, for richer and poor, for sickness and in health. Not until I felt like leaving. Right.
Okay.
And so it's like when you have a contract that is supposed to be for life and now anyone can leave for any reason. I just think marriage today isn't marriage. It's just at this point a long-term relationship.
Do you feel women are rewarded to get divorced?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. 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 And I especially learned this through the divorce documentary that I'm doing when I interview these men that are getting actually completely wrecked by these women. Oh my gosh.
Times divorced 4 times. Let's see. Let's look. You tell me. What do you want to know?
What is the most toxic thing that you've ever done?
Okay, let's do this. All right. Take them to court and then get a good divorce lawyer, of course. Take them for half of the retirement. Take them half of their property and then fight them for higher child support, okay? And a couple of years from now, hit you up for more child support. Every 3 years. Every 3 years. You go up from maybe 200 to 300 to 400 to 500. You bring it up to $2,000 per child. Per child. But I got one child right here. Kaylin right here. her daddy paying child support for her.
So she took him to court, took half of the retirement fund that he most likely worked decades for, half of the property that he paid the mortgage on, and then turned around and fought for higher child support, like it was a paycheck, not a responsibility. Not only is this toxic, it's evil, because it's not just about the money, it's about betrayal. It's about a man who gave his best years to building a life, a home, and a future, only to be repaid with courtroom ambushes and a system that sides with her without question. She got rewarded for leaving. She got praised for being strong and independent, while dismantling the very foundation they built together. This is modern-day exploitation dressed up as empowerment. This is why men are walking away, not because they're afraid of commitment, but because they've seen what happens when commitment is no longer respected. This right here is disgusting.
So this might be kind of a controversial opinion when it comes to dating, but why is it that in so many cases, the more effort that a woman puts into a relationship with a man, it seems like he appreciates her less? I don't know if I'm the only one that's encountered that, but I feel like so many other women have, and I'm just curious what you guys think, if you've experienced this as well, and why you think this is happening.
No one talks about divorcing a good guy. I've been divorced twice, both of which were my decision, and neither one of them were abusing me or cheating on me. That doesn't mean there wasn't a pile of other reasons as to why we couldn't maintain a healthy relationship. People get divorced for all kinds of reasons. Maybe you don't agree on how to parent your kids. Maybe you suck at communicating and argue all the time. Maybe you don't agree on money and you have financial issues. Maybe there's no intimacy and you feel like you're living with a roommate. Those are all valid reasons to not want to stay in a relationship.
This is a pretty crazy fact. I asked ChatGPT why women file divorce at such a higher rate than men, and it said unmet emotional needs, unequal household and emotional labor, more financial independence, and women tend to have higher expectations in a relationship.
Because it makes them wealthy, stealing the man's assets, nothing more. Now imagine if alimony and child support were eliminated. Do you think this number would increase or decrease? A man will sacrifice his happiness for his family. A woman will sacrifice her family for her happiness because they benefit financially. Period. Well, this is quite questionable, considering that divorce rates for male-to-male couples sit at 26%, male-to-female at 52%, and female-to-female at a staggering 72%. I mean, with these numbers, it's quite clear that men aren't the problem when it comes to long-term commitment. In fact, the data flips the common narrative. If men were truly the toxic or unreliable ones, you'd expect male-to-male relationships to be the most unstable. But they're actually the most stable. Meanwhile, relationships involving women, especially female-to-female ones, show the highest rates of dissolution. That points to emotional volatility, conflict escalation, and unrealistic expectations playing a bigger role than people want to admit. Maybe it's time we stop blaming men by default and start acknowledging that modern relationship dynamics, fueled by entitlement, lack of accountability, and poor conflict resolution skills, especially among women, could be the real culprits.
Couldn't be me. I'll marry a man who very enthusiastically and confidently wants to marry me without any nudging or convincing, or I'll marry no men at all.
If I was a man in today's society, I would not get married. Let me explain. In the modern era, marriage is completely outdated. The tax breaks you get from it aren't even that good. And to be really honest, it is geared towards protecting the woman in the relationship in the event of divorce.
Be careful about dating divorced men. No woman is divorcing a good man.
Except for when they do. Now, I know I'm not the only one who has seen any number of those videos out there of some women encouraging other women to divorce their husbands. And they even mention in the videos that the man could be a perfectly good man. But if that woman isn't currently happy in that relationship, get a divorce. It's the easy way instead of actually trying to work on a relationship. Because a lot of us know relationships take work, and some people just aren't cut out for it.
Especially when they have kids together. Yes, a lot of people grow apart and it's mutual.
And instead of working on and maintaining that relationship and improving it, it's easier just to get a divorce.
The majority of the time, she's divorced him for a reason.
And many times that reason can be perfectly valid. And then there's those instances where someone just doesn't want to put in the work.
Whatever he's done to her, he's going to do to you.
Interesting how they try to make it sound like it's always the man's fault, when it takes two. It takes two to make a relationship work, and it takes two to make a relationship fail.
No woman is divorcing a good man, huh? Well, that's obviously a lie. We've seen countless stories where women openly admit, he was a good guy, he checked all the boxes, he loved me, he provided, he took care of me and our family, but I just didn't feel it anymore. So what does that tell you? That being a good man isn't enough anymore. It's not about loyalty, provision, or protection. It's about chasing feelings, fleeting emotions, and some idealized fantasy of, what if there's better out there? And what happens when they leave? They find out the grass wasn't greener, it was fake turf. Many end up miserable, full of regret, some even lowering their standards just to feel wanted again. And yes, some end up sleeping with married men just to feel something, to prove they're still desirable. They throw away a good man, a stable home, and long-term security for a temporary high, and when it crashes, they play the victim.
Hey ladies, one time I told a dude that when I get married, I want someone who is going to provide for me and pay all of these bills. Duh. And he said something to the effect of, you don't want a man, you want a dad. You must not have a dad ever, blah, 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 blah. No, sir. I do have a dad. That's why I want that. My dad spoiled me to death and still does to this day. If I call that man right now and tell him I need some money, it's going to be my cash out within the next 10 minutes. So you think I'm going to go from that to being in a relationship with a man who don't do nothing for me? Does that make sense to you? Like, just make it make sense. Make it make sense. That's what a man is supposed to do, in my opinion. Now, if that's not how you feel, that's completely okay. There are plenty of women out here on the earth who do not believe that a man's job in a relationship is to protect and provide. Go find one of them and do whatever it is that dummies do when they get together. But if you want to be over here, it's going to cost you something, sir. Sorry, blame David.
This is why marriage is a bad idea for men. A marriage used to give a man a stable life, a life in which he was enjoying the support of a wife, while he was providing financial security. But today the divorce rates are so high that men often find themselves having to pay half of what they've made during the marriage. And because the traditional roles of men being the breadwinners and women being the homemakers are no longer the norm, there is a lot of confusion. There's more equality, and because women work nowadays, they've become way more independent and they have less time to be busy with playing the traditional role of the wife. But men find it hard to adapt to this new role of not just being the financial provider, but also having to help around the house because the wife doesn't have time anymore to do it all alone. And although women wanted to work and therefore they entered the man's world, men never asked to enter the women's world and to also become homemakers. And that's why many men don't want to get married anymore. They feel it's a ripoff. They think that at the end of the day it will cost them a lot of money and it will cost their peace of mind because they don't have a peaceful life at home.
Marriage is the biggest mistake a man can make. Well put. I get divorced and lost more than 50% to my ex who didn't work. Don't get married. Marriage is not a financial transaction, and if you see it like this, the problem is you. Correct. The more money a man makes, the more he should stay single. The costs of divorce are way, way too high. A majority of men today do see marriage as a scam, the very idea of it. The thing is, marriage can be great until the woman thinks she can do better, until she starts comparing her life, her man, and her relationship to social media fantasies, to the highlight reels of others, or to the idea that she's settling. It's great until society feeds her the lie that she's being held back, that her independence is being threatened by commitment, or that she deserves more simply because she exists. It's great until she's bored, until her friends tell her she could have done better, until she looks at a man who's built a life with her and starts thinking, what else is out there? And the worst part, The man who gave her everything gets left behind, broken and blamed for not being enough, while the system still demands he pays up through alimony, child support, or court battles.
The dating scene in Charleston is tough. I absolutely agree with you there. And honestly, if you are a female who dates men, it is tough because there's a lot more girls here than guys. And in my opinion, I think that guys kind of play up on that a little bit. Like they have a lot of options. So that just makes it tough. And also like another stereotype that's just, kind of my opinion is that like guys definitely, kind of go into the Peter Pan syndrome thing, where they just don't really want to grow up. And so that makes it hard too. Now, my unsolicited advice is don't only rely on dating apps around here, or really in general, even if you're not from here and you're just listening to this. I deleted my dating apps over the summer. I haven't looked back. They are not for me. I don't like them. That's just not my vibe. And all I will say is you can and you will meet people in the wild. There are plenty of options to do so. And you have to weed through the fools, but there are some gems out there.
If a guy is liking my Instagram story, it's immediately over.
Wait, what? Could someone explain this to me? Why exactly would it be immediately over if a guy likes their Instagram story? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I get the ick. I think it comes off as very immature.
Okay.
Like, if you're liking my Instagram story, you're probably liking every other girl's Instagram story. You know what I mean?
So let me get this straight. They would rather the guy not like their Instagram story because they want to feel special, because they don't feel special if the guy likes their Instagram story because he's most likely liking every other girl's story. Is anybody else confused?
So, like, I don't know. I don't like it. I'm not a fan.
So then don't post an Instagram story. But then how would they get attention? But remember, gentlemen, there are women out there that will only like you if you absolutely pretend to ignore them and don't give them any positive attention. This is confusing.
This is why I say a man just can't win with women. She says, if a guy likes her Instagram story, it's immediately over. But what sense does that make? A simple like shouldn't be a deal breaker, yet somehow it's treated like the ultimate betrayal. Meanwhile, she's out here posting pictures, sharing stories, and putting herself in the spotlight, expecting all kinds of attention, and then acting like getting any of it is a problem. It's like women want to have it both ways. They want the validation from other men, but want to control how those men show it. If a guy likes her story, suddenly she's done with him, but she thrives on that attention. It's a confusing, contradictory game where men can never seem to get it right. If a man expresses interest in the smallest way, it's the end. But if she's throwing out signs, baiting for attention, and expecting everyone to notice, then it's perfectly fine.
Why are men so angry when women choose to stop dating? I don't think men are angry at all. I mean, they've chose to stop dating themselves. Men often don't pursue things that aren't worth their time. And in a lot of cases, relationships don't offer them very much anymore. They realize that just pursuing their hobbies and working towards their long-term goals just makes more sense overall. And they can have a happier life that way.
I agree. So give a woman a choice. Date a 20-year-old male virgin or a 40-year-old successful male lawyer who's vetted 100+ women. The lawyer wins every time.
For sure.
Give a man that exact choice with females in those exact positions.
The lawyer will lose.
Nobody cares that the 40-year-old is a successful lawyer.
Right.
So
I've come to the conclusion that women are hotter than men. Objectively. I just came back from a night out in New York City. It's Valentine's Day, so all the couples are together. They're either at dinner, at home, whatever. So you'd assume that when you're out, all the like singles, hot single people are out and about. And that is correct for the most part. I look around, I'm at the club, right? I look around, tens all around for women, beautiful women surrounding me. And then there's men as well. And like, they're just there. When I'm walking to get coffee in the morning, I'll like walk past the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'll see like 10 minutes later, I'll see another one just on the subway or on the street. Gorgeous outfit, gorgeous face, beautiful hair, amazing style, amazing confidence all the time. And then I'm lucky if maybe I see like one hot guy a week or like have a crush. The crush economy in New York is abysmal. So, yeah, good luck with that.
This woman said that she came to the conclusion that women are hotter than men, but to that I would say it's nonsense. When women say things like this, they're comparing non-organic women to men. They're comparing insecure women who are wearing makeup, filters, fake eyelashes, every type of enhancement out there, to men who show up naturally. It's like comparing a heavily edited photo to a raw, unfiltered one and claiming one is better just because it's been doctored. The truth is, natural beauty is real beauty. Confidence, authenticity, and self-respect shine brighter than any contour or filter ever could. When women boost their appearance with all these artificial enhancements, they create an illusion, one that doesn't hold up in real life or genuine connection. So when someone says women are hotter than men, what they really mean is that women are better at hiding behind makeup and digital tricks.
The best dust repellent is looking like they can't afford you. That's another thing. You have to look like they cannot afford you, or you can't, or you don't want to afford them. It means if you don't look like you want a broke bum, if you're not ratchet looking like you house a Dusty just because he cute, if you look like the type of woman that don't go for men just because they look good and have the right words and tell you something that you already should know about yourself, that means you have to dress like the goddess that you are. Where do you want to see yourself when you're my age? That's the type of man you need to date. That doesn't mean dating that doesn't mean dating somebody that, you know, is never going to make it out of the hood. That does not mean dating someone who does not have ambition and money already to get you where you're trying to go. That don't mean none of that. It doesn't mean somebody who is barely making it now, scratching the surface to even survive for himself. That doesn't mean any of that. I mean, date the type of man who's going to give you the lifestyle you want at 40.
Okay, I've had a lot of men recently asking me, why don't women just ask men out instead of like doing little researches on them and doing little FBI things and doing little running arounds and little finding out of little morsels of information. And the answer is because when you ask a man out, it feels like you're holding out a tin cup and going, please sir, how much for the pool? Please sir, please can I have some more? Like you feel like Oliver freaking Twist, my guy. Not a position most women want to be in. So we would rather make you think it's your idea, because that's what's happening most of the time. Most of the time, that's what's happening. Women make the first move by allowing you to be in a position to make the first move. That's all. I hope that's helpful, because that's the actual answer. And like, I actually have asked guys out before. I have, but it has felt like, it feels like begging, and I just don't like that.
But that's exactly how some men feel. If women feel like they're begging just by asking a man out, how do they think men feel, especially since he's the one expected to pursue, initiate, plan, pay, and put in all the effort, only to get ignored or rejected? Maybe what she hasn't realized is that what she's describing is exactly how men have felt for decades. The difference? Men were taught to just suck it up. No one cared if it hurt their confidence. No one asked how exhausting it was to always chase, to always be the one trying while getting nowhere. Now, the moment women are expected to do even a fraction of that effort, suddenly it's too much. It feels like begging. No, it feels like accountability. And it's uncomfortable because they're not used to it. Let's be real. Women want equality until it's time to be equally vulnerable, equally rejected, and equally responsible for building the connection. And that's when the double standards really show.
I'm not even gonna lie, I really am a lover girl, and my end goal for relationships is to be married one day. Like, I don't know, I just feel like I'm just meant for one person. Like, I don't want to just be dealing with all these men. I just don't want that. Like, I want a family. I want to have kids. Like, I want a big house. Like, I want the white picket fence. Like, I want the nannies. I want the butlers. Like, I want the maids. I want the cooks. Like, I just want that rich lifestyle that other women out here are experiencing, you know? And like, I really want a nice, handsome husband that's very respectful, that's a gentleman, that really just love me, and the kids that I'm about to give him. Like, I don't care how bad y'all try to downplay marriage, but marriage is something that I really do want for myself. I don't know, I just feel like being in the Black community, we don't really see like a lot of marriages within our family. And, like, that's just something that I really just want for me. You know? I don't know. That's just how I feel.
I am woman. I am fearless. I am sexy. I'm divine. I'm a beautiful and creative. Honey, you can get in line. Every woman, it's all in me.
Listen, I know I'm nobody to judge, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's on the internet. Why? Why, girl? It's giving pick me, but you already got picked, so it's a little bit weird. It's a little bit weird that you would want to flash your husband's friends and maybe possibly brothers. Like, I wouldn't do that. And I get that people are like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, you wear swimsuits in front of men all the time. Yeah, but I'm not like purposely going up to them and flashing, like taking my like cover off just so they can see on my wedding day. It's a little bit strange. It's just a little bit strange. But you know what? To each their own. To each their own, girl. People are also defending that she did it with her bridesmaids as well, not just the groomsmen, but with the bridesmaids, she had like a bouquet of flowers, and it actually looks kind of weird because it looks like she's jumping over them. Anyway, it's just strange, okay? Like, I get everyone can do whatever they want, but it's a little bit strange. And if you put anything on the internet, like, just get ready to be judged, you know?
This is grounds for divorce, effective immediately. A bride lifting up her skirt and flashing her husband's friends right in front of him? That's not just disrespect, that's straight-up humiliation. The thing about this kind of behavior is, it shows that the streets are still in her. She may be wearing the wedding dress, but she's not truly committed. Mentally, emotionally, she's not ready to settle down. That wasn't a mistake or a funny moment. That was a clear display of attention-seeking, boundary-breaking, and zero respect for the man she just vowed to honor. Marriage is supposed to be a sacred union. If she can't carry herself with class and loyalty on the wedding day, of all days, what does that say about what's coming later? That's not a wife, that's a liability. This is exactly why so many men are cautious about marriage now. Because too often, the title changes, but the mindset doesn't.
I'm in my 40s. I've never been married. I have no children. Hello, my name is Jacqueline. I've noticed I've gained a few new followers, so I just wanted to do a very, very quick intro. My page just showcases what my reality is like in this single era.
70% of divorce is initiated by women, and up to 90% is initiated by college-educated women. What does that say?
All right, I'll give you an answer, but we both know you're not going to like it. And I'm going to start off with what it doesn't say, which, let's be honest, is the whole goal of your video. You know, how you want to imply that it's entirely men's fault that women file for divorce, because, women are perfect. And your other goal, which is to, in the process, get a whole bunch of clicks, likes, comments, and validation from women who hate men as much as you do, which is exactly what's happening. But that's not what it says. Not even close. So we're going to talk a little reality instead of wallowing in fantasy. We're going to talk about what it really says. First of all, it says that despite all their supposed education, women don't live in reality, but in delusion. In fact, they wallow in it. It says that women have convinced themselves that life is supposed to be perfect, and of course, men are also supposed to be perfect. And if he's not, which by the way is something he can never be, well, then he should be tossed aside. It says that women think that They are the table and deserve to be treated like queens while having to offer nothing, literally nothing in return. It shows that women aren't true to their commitments, aren't true to their word. It's no longer till death do us part, but instead, until my marriage isn't exactly like I've seen in all those umpteenth Hallmark movies I've watched. It says that women aren't willing to admit that a good marriage isn't something that just happens, but something that takes time and effort, neither of which they're willing to put in. It says that even the best of marriages have their ups and downs, and that women will bail at the first sign of trouble. And finally, it says, as more and more men are figuring out, that dating, marriage, and women are something to be avoided. Avoided like the plague, because women's expectations within them have become completely unrealistic and can never be met. Now, I know the ladies are going to go nuts over what I just said and, of course, deny that's the case. But in reality, that's exactly what's being said.
I agree. When a woman files for divorce, especially at the rate they're filing these days, it truly shows that they aren't serious about the commitment and vows they made. Marriage is supposed to be a lifelong promise, a partnership through thick and thin. But when so many walk away at the first sign of trouble, it reveals a lack of real dedication and perseverance. It's not about staying in a bad or harmful situation, but about understanding that marriage requires work, sacrifice, and patience from both sides. Too often, the instant problems arise. Instead of seeking solutions, some choose to exit. That mindset turns commitment into a disposable contract, something to be discarded whenever things get inconvenient or uncomfortable. This easy exit mentality damages the foundation of marriage and undermines trust, not just between partners, but across generations.
So basically, these married women decided to go on a girls' trip, but they wanted to make sure they weren't pregnant afterwards, so they took a pregnancy test before going back to their husband.
I have been with my husband for almost 20 years, but about 3 years ago, I was strongly considering divorce, and I want to talk to you about why. So I'm going to tell you the story of the day where I thought to myself, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. My husband and I had 4 kids. We both worked full time. We had been together for 16 years at this point. We've been together since high school. And on paper, I have an amazing husband. He is incredibly supportive. He's kind. He's loyal. He's a great dad. He's very hands-on. He's an active participant. He's always present. Like, on paper, what else could I ask for? But in reality, my experience is very similar to the experience of other women. I had this amazing husband who on paper was great, but I was incredibly frustrated and burnt out from our marriage and from motherhood. Because what happens to so many of us is that we marry these amazing men and we have amazing relationships and then we have kids. And when we have kids, women tend to carry a disproportionate amount of the work in the home, the work of raising kids, and the mental load. And that is exactly what happened to us. About 3 months after my 4th baby was born, I remember looking at my husband and saying, I need more. I need you to do more. I am exhausted. I am in charge of everyone and everything in this house. Every night when we cook dinner, you ask me what to make. Every day when you drop off the kids at daycare, you ask me what they need in their backpacks. I am the project manager of this home and I need you to do more. And he looked at me and he said, okay, just tell me what to do. Right? Every woman has heard this. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I said, okay, something that would make my life easier is if in the mornings when I came downstairs with the 4 kids, because I do mornings by myself, the dishwasher was emptied, the dishes were put away, and the trash was taken out. That would make my life so much easier because when I've got the 4 kids running around and the baby crying, I can't be looking for their favorite water bottle in the dishwasher. I just need to know it's clean. And he said, yeah, of course. What? Yeah, I'll do that. That's no problem. And so, of course, he does it. But then I have to remind him, and then he forgets, and then I have to remind him again. And there was this one morning where I woke up, and I went to put something in the trash, and it was overflowing. And I went to get my son's water bottle, and it was in the dishwasher with all the other clean dishes. And I felt so disrespected and unseen and unvalued at that point in time. And I remember texting my husband being like, what happened? Like, why didn't you do this? And he said, sorry, I was running late for work. And I remember thinking, oh my God, he doesn't see me. because what he's done has now made me late for work. And he doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about the impact on me. And he doesn't see how every single thing in our home happens because I ask him to do it, or because I do it myself, or because I planned and organized it. The diaper bag is full because I filled it, right? I put the wipes in there. And I felt so frustrated. And I remember thinking, what's the point? What's the point of doing this with someone else? I might as well just do it alone.
Had to cut this clip short because the rambling was long, but in this entire clip right here, not once did she take any fault. Not an ounce of accountability. It was just blame after blame, all directed at her husband, pointing out his faults but not her own, like he was the root of every single problem in the marriage. No reflection. No. Maybe I could have handled things differently. No ownership of her attitude, behavior, or choices. Just a full-on victim narrative. And that's the problem. You can't fix what you won't take responsibility for. If you always paint yourself as the victim, you'll never grow. You'll just repeat the same toxic patterns with the next man, and the next, and the next. It's always his fault, never hers. This kind of mindset is exactly why so many relationships fail, because instead of working on themselves, some people are too busy pointing fingers and rewriting history to protect their ego. Sometimes the issue isn't the man, it's the lack of self-awareness sitting across from him.
I've had my husband blocked on TikTok for years because, like I said before, my activity on the internet is none of his business. But recently I was feeling kind, so I unblocked him. And at first his intrusion into my internet life started slow. It was him liking my videos. It was him sending me things. It was fine. I didn't love it, but it was fine. But recently, he's crossed the line. We were chatting this morning, and he just casually looks at me and he goes, "I see you followed somebody named Girthmaster." None of his business. And I didn't know what to say, so I just got red in the face and was like, I fumbled. I didn't, and it just, this is my private space. This is my private internet. He's about to get blocked again, I swear to God.
All I know is that if my man had me blocked on social media, my feelings could not withstand it. Even if my man watched all my content that popped up on his feed, but he just one time swiped to the next video before the end of my video, my feelings could not withstand it. And I understand having a private space, but isn't it your relationship that's the private space? Not the space between you and your followers or the people that you follow? I don't know, do what you want, but a good rule of thumb, I believe, is that if you wouldn't do it in front of them, you shouldn't do it.
This woman is obviously delusional. A public social media account isn't private. It's public. It's only private when it comes to her husband, but wide open to strangers. Think about that. She's blocking the man she married, the man she lives with, the man who provides and protects. But she's perfectly fine sharing herself with random guys online. That's not privacy. That's deception. Not only is this a red flag, it's a billboard screaming emotional disloyalty. You don't block your husband unless you're trying to hide something. Whether it's flirtation, validation seeking, or straight up attention from other men, it's shady. You're supposed to be one flesh, one unit, but she's living like a single woman with a secret digital life. That's not how wives behave. That's how people act when they're keeping options open, when they're fishing for backup plans, when they care more about external attention than internal commitment.